Hi everyone, I'm Tanvi. I am a doctor in internal medicine. Today I am talking about health and identity. Working in the healthcare field, I've noticed how disease has also become an identity for many people, many patients. They become stuck in misery and suffering that it consumes them. It becomes their entire life, and they cannot see life outside of this disease, outside of being sick. It becomes a crutch or a limitation for them. Essentially, it becomes their identity, where to them it feels like such a big part of their lives that if someone were to magically take this away, make them better, first, that would not even be possible because they are holding on to the disease or the illness so tightly that it would require them to shift their identity to their being to be a person who's healthy, who doesn't have this disease or this diagnosis. That think is really where we can learn about the importance of identity shifting in providing better care for patients and in our own lives. I've been doing this obesity medicine certification course, and in there are some modules on motivational interviewing, mindful eating, lifestyle medicine, and how important this can be for helping people lose weight and become healthier. And what I thought was missing from this was we know about motivational interviewing, the stages of change, pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, and then when patients get into the action stage and then maintenance, we can come up with the perfect plan for these patients. They can have that desire to change, but if they don't actually shift their identity, then they are not going to be able to maintain this. They're going to relapse, and it's not something that is going to be effective. Really, that missing piece is having the identity shift to someone who is healthy, someone who's not a smoker, someone who eats healthy. And that gap can be really large from where a patient is right now to where they need to go. This is really something that we need to focus on in the medical community. The other thing that I've noticed is that our language is coded in this specific way where we say someone is a diabetic or an alcoholic rather than they have diabetes or they have alcohol use disorder, essentially reducing a person to this diagnosis. That's all they become, that's their entire identity. In my mind, I feel that a diagnosis is a way to better understand what's going on so that we can have an effective plan and treat a patient with a specific algorithm. The way we see it right now, a diagnosis is limiting, right? It's now they have this label, this restriction, but really, if we shift our perspective to it being something that can actually be expansive, it gives us better understanding of what's going on, a better way to see ourselves so that we can move forward from that instead of being stuck in this diagnosis or this disease or illness. It provides a path forward on what we need to do next, how we can heal, whether it's lifestyle, whether it's medication, but moving in a forward positive direction will be beneficial. Even working with patients in the hospital, going back to when I was talking about identity, I've worked with lots of patients with chronic pain, with known etiology, despite having a lot of workup. There's patients with functional GI disorders, with the gut-brain axis involved, as well as psychosomatic disorders that patients have. We can see in these patients that they're so rooted in their disease that they can't step outside of that. Whether they want pain medications or they want a feeding tube, and we don't think any of this is necessarily medically indicated based on all of the workup that we've done, it kind of becomes this situation where we feel like we're in opposition. We want to tell the patient, well, you don't need any of these things, that you're fine. We couldn't find anything medically. And then for the patient, they feel, no, I'm sick, I'm suffering. I need help, I need answers. Sometimes they can even feel a sense of importance or a sense of feeling like they're getting attention by nobody's able to figure out what's going on with me. I've gone to so many doctors and it can give them a sense of importance. Even reading books on personal development, Dale Carnegie mentions this, that one of the deepest human needs and desires is for attention, for a sense of greatness and importance. And oftentimes, when people can't find that in their life, they make themselves sick. They make themselves gain that by these not so great ways where they actually are hurting themselves and harming themselves. We can even see this to the extreme with a disease mental disorder called Munchausen's, where people will actually physically, mentally harm themselves sometimes to make themselves sick so they can assume the sick role, go to the hospital and get medical attention and have people caring for them. You can see with these diseases, they actually help us understand. I've always been fascinated by this, how normal health and how when we take it to an extreme with whether it's cancer, medical or diseases or mental disorders, how that extreme actually helps us better understand a state of health, right? Because it speaks to that deep human need for attention and importance and feeling like they are somebody, like they are worthy and deserving, and maybe they haven't gotten that in other areas of their lives, and it's gone to this extreme. I've also noticed this just taking care of patients. I was actually amazed by this. I had one patient who has had chronic pain and didn't want to leave the hospital because with the pain control, she didn't feel like it was being adequately treated. Really, all I did was motivate her and speak to her as a person, take interest in her, and hear about her goals and her dreams in life and what her vision was, and that identity of the person that she saw herself as, that's not stuck in the hospital, that's not suffering, that's not in pain, and who that person would look like, and made that something that was possible for her and something desirable and exciting to the point where she didn't want to be in the hospital anymore on her own accord without anyone having to force her or anyone having to feel like it was us against her or that it was this opposition. I think that's actually really powerful if we can use this effectively in helping patients and helping with making that identity shift that's required, because we can tell people and patients about nutrition and we can educate them on this, but unless there is an actual identity shift where they see themselves as a person that can eat those foods, that can do those activities, then it becomes nearly impossible to help patients with this. Notice this in even my own life is that a lot of people I know or I come in contact with, it feels like they're always comparing who has it worse, who is, has more problems going on, who has this illness, or they don't feel well because of this. I notice similar to patients in the hospital is that they're keeping themselves stuck in suffering. They're saying, oh, woe is me, I have this problem, and that's why I can't do this, and that's why I can't be happy, right? I think a part of it is, maybe seeking sympathy, seeking attention. Other part I've also contemplated is called nazar, or the evil eye in my culture, where we don't want to have other people think that we have everything so great and that we have it so good that they become jealous or envious of us, and that can harm us more. It's very ironic because these people are already causing themselves so much suffering and no one else has even done anything to them or given them the evil eye, but they're just stuck in that suffering and in that mentality. I've noticed with some people, it's just, who has it worse? Oh no, that you have that going on, but I have this going on, and what I have is worse. I think the solution to this is, my vision is, what if we just lived in so much happiness and bliss and abundance, and that gives people something to strive for instead of everyone just being, I have to be suffering and I have to compare my suffering with your suffering. Why can't we be so happy and so blissed out and lit up that everyone's looking up to us and thinking, wow, we can have that too, that it is possible. The way we protect ourselves from nazar or the evil eye is really just to remember, be humble and not be arrogant about our blessings. And this is why we have in my culture, we say Bhagwan ki kripa hai, meaning it's by the grace of God, or mashallah, meaning, everything that we have, all of our blessings are from God. We are so blessed because we give our thanks to God. It's not something egotistical. It's not something like, look how great I am, I'm better than you. It's really just that celebration, that being in gratitude, and that attracts even more health and blessings into our lives. That's my vision for everyone. When I went to India this past fall, meeting with a lot of relatives, we went at the end of our trip, we went on a dinner and then we had our flight back to the US. I was actually the only one who ended up getting food poisoning and I got really sick. My mom is like, when we were on the plane, like nazar, you caught the evil eye, because she attributed it to everyone was just, all of the relatives were saying, oh, everyone was complimenting me, just my energy, my radiance, and my happiness and lightness. And she felt that it gave me the evil eye. I received all of those compliments, and I was thankful to God for everything that I have and my health, and that I can be so happy and light and enjoy time with my family. Even when I got the food poisoning, it was definitely like a miserable experience, but it was also this duality where I felt that I was deeply in my body, right? Because I'm sick, I'm vomiting, I'm nauseous, my stomach hurts. It actually, in a way, brought me into my body where I had no choice but to be aware of what was going on, what was happening, and be in tune with it. I was able, when I was having pain, I was really able to feel into it or acknowledge it, and then focus on another area or part of me that wasn't in pain, that wasn't hurting me, and then actually helped with the pain and it helped with coping with it. The other thing was that it actually made me so grateful for my mom and for my aunt and my family who was traveling with her, because they were so compassionate, they were so kind. You could see how deeply they cared for me, how deeply they were hurting, that I was in pain and that I was suffering. There was even this woman in the airport, and she really felt for me too. And she gave me some medication to help with the nausea. It was just beautiful how a stranger was so compassionate. It really just, it made me feel so grateful, even in these situations, that health is an identity. And even if we do have a disease or an illness or something going on, how can we use that as an opportunity to be still in that state of health? That state of health is being positive, thinking that we can overcome all challenges in life, and using this as an opportunity to be grateful for our blessings, for the loved ones that we have, for everything that we do have. Because when we lack something, we don't have our health, we're not at our functioning baseline, it brings even more attention to what we do have and what we had before this happened. It can really be a very positive experience if you let it be that. Just the physiological, psychological effect of having a positive mindset. We know that's been proven by science and how important and effective that is in treating disease, coping with illness. It also just helps you, be in a state of gratitude for everything that you do have, and just promotes your identity of health no matter what happens to you. Even if you have a disease, you're not stuck in suffering, you're still a healthy person. That's still what you're thinking and your thoughts. That disease, it becomes something external to you. It's not who you are. I just wanted to share this. I'd love to hear if anyone else related to this, and please leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you.